Uda Asamira is preoccupied with work when he arrives home to unexpected news. His father, Taichi Asamira, informs him that he is remarrying a woman named Akiko, who cared for him when he was inebriated one night. Uda remains calm, believing that his father's happiness is all that matters. However, Taichi adds one significant change. Uda will now have a new stepsister, Saki, Akiko's daughter. Later in the evening, Uda meets Akiko and Saki for the first time. Akiko apologizes for the suddenness, but Uda tells her everything is alright. Saki, a second-year high school student, then adds that she dislikes being photographed, which is why Uda hasn't seen any images of her. Uda and Saki then converse alone near the beverages area. Saki is relieved because Uda appears pleasant, joking that she was afraid he was a horrible person. Uda continues the joke, saying that terrible individuals frequently hide behind good masks, which makes her chuckle. Saki then discusses something personal with Uda. She informs him that she believes he lacks passion for anything, therefore she is confident he will grasp what she is about to say. She then asks him not to expect anything from her, as she will not expect anything from him. Uda is relieved to hear this, and says he can finally breathe, which surprises Saki but prompts her to agree because she feels the same way. Taichi is apprehensive on Sunday, June 7th, because Akiko and Saki will be moving in that day. He's cleaning the home and freaking out about his room, fearful that Akiko would remark it smells horrible. When Akiko and Saki arrive, they are amazed by how tidy the house is, and Akiko even says that she has brought gifts. Saki notices that there are too many gifts and encourages Uda to ignore her mother because she can't turn down people who recommend things to her. They then begin going into the house, with Akiko and Saki commenting on how beautiful everything smells, before Taichi makes a spectacular entry, spraying air freshener and greeting them to their new home. Akiko and Saki quickly laugh, but Uda is mortified. Uda then shows Saki around her room, informing her she can alter the bed and curtain colors if she wishes. Saki believes the room is large, but Uda maintains it's typical. She then explains that they used to live in a modest 10-square-meter apartment, and she didn't have her own room. She often slept alone because her mother worked at night. Saki soon observes Uda's uptight demeanor while speaking to her. Uda says that he doesn't know how to talk to her because they're the same age, but Saki assures him that it's fine and that he shouldn't be concerned about her. Uda then says why talking to her is different from talking to her classmates or friends. Despite this, he determines it's best to speak with her personally. Uda says that he wants to establish clear boundaries to avoid issues, and Saki appreciates his candor, remarking how she has isolated herself from most people at school, with the exception of one friend, due to similar emotions. They both agree to make necessary adjustments to their new living circumstances. As they begin organizing the house together, Uda discovers an antique cabinet with animal stickers that reminds him of a tiny child, and he finds it endearing. Saki once asked Uda to come closer, but he tripped and fell. The noise draws their parents, Akiko and Taichi, into the room. Uda, humiliated, realizes he's clutching one of Saki's bras, and everyone laughs. Saki has just been here for 10 seconds, and this guy has already begun to demonstrate his perversion. Later, Uda notices that Saki attends the same school as him, Suimei High School. Surprised, he apologizes for not bringing it up sooner, but Saki assures him that it's no great problem. Uda suggests pretending they don't know each other in school, and Saki replies she understands and doesn't mind. Uda soon receives a phone call inviting him to work at the bookshop where he works. His co-worker, Shirori Yori, teases him about smelling like a girl. She jokingly asks if he has a girlfriend, but Uda dismisses it, saying he does not. Shirori recalls Uda's suggestion of acquiring a new sibling and inquires about her attractiveness. Uda concedes Saki is, and Shirori taunts him further, implying that anything could happen between the two. Uda, who attended all-boys schools, claims he has little time for such ideas and finds having a sibling difficult, but Shirori tells him to simply be himself. That night, Uda returns home and politely announces his arrival. Saki, who is not used to being greeted, apologizes, adding that she is unsure how to reply. Uda nods, and Saki tells him that her family life isn't bad, just quiet. Her mother would come home while Saki was at school and depart before she returned, so they didn't have much time together. Uda remarks that it appears they get along well, and Saki agrees, saying that they recently went shopping together. Uda inquires whether Saki has taken a bath, and when she responds no, he offers to let her go first. While bathing, Uda becomes lost in thought and shows a tinge of sorrow. Later, he informs Saki that the restroom is ready and wishes her a nice night. Saki thanks him and wishes him the same. Later, while getting ready for bed, Saki realizes she has left the bathroom light on. She struggles to switch it off using the strange smart panel, but eventually succeeds before falling asleep. On the morning of June 8th, Uda awakens and greets his new stepsister Saki. She thanks him for preparing the bath, but asks him not to do it again to conserve water. Uda agrees and goes to school. At school, Uda spots Saki alone and tells his friend Maru to keep away from her, citing reports of Saki's involvement in questionable activities. According to Maru, Saki's appearance, blonde hair, piercings, and a stern expression makes her appear like a gang member, and rumors suggest she was spotted leaving a motel. Uda is skeptical, but he recognizes the significance of the rumors. Later, Uda goes to the tennis club and is astonished to see Saki alone. He wonders if she's skipping lessons, and she jokes that he's a scolding elder brother. Uda clarifies that he was merely inquisitive and that he had no idea she picked tennis. Saki explains that her buddy, Maya Narasaka, suggested they do the same activity, although she's mostly there to avoid team activities and stay away from others. Uda is startled, expecting trendy females like her to be popular, but Saki explains she likes to be left alone, so she may have more time for herself. Uda gets home from school and is greeted by a stepmother, Akiko, who is about to go for work. She informs him she's a bartender, which confuses Uda because he assumed she worked in customer service. Akiko then begs Uda to take care of the house while she's away, and Uda agrees before returning to his room to study. Saki returns home shortly after, and Uda greets her warmly. Saki is impressed with Uda's ability to juggle school and job. She asks him if he knows of any part-time jobs that pay well, since she needs money but does not want to overwork, and she wants to work while also attending school. Saki made a Chad move. Sweetie will have a long wait if she wants to find a job where she can relax. She also discusses wanting to find employment that pays roughly 10,000 yen for a few hours' effort. Uda is doubtful and misunderstands Saki's intentions, believing she is selling herself. Concerned, he advises her to take better care of her physique. Saki clarifies that she takes care of herself and wishes to earn money for that reason. Uda, still perplexed, questions whether she would say that in front of her mother. Saki responds boldly, saying her mother would be proud of her maturity. Uda truly apologizes for having misinterpreted. Saki then reassures him, explaining that she understands why people would get the wrong impression based on her appearance. Saki then explains that her clothing serve as armor, allowing her to negotiate a harsh world. She highlights how society frequently wrongly assesses people. She also explains that her mother, Akiko, is a recent high school graduate who works nights. Despite this, Akiko is evaluated harshly because she is pretty, with many believing she utilizes her appearance to advance. Uda believes that this is unfair, and Saki explains how people use twisted logic to assess others based on appearance and IQ. Saki informs Uda that independent women are frequently criticized, and if they work hard, people claim they lack a nice guy to support them. She reveals that she utilizes her beauty as armor to shield herself, striving for perfection, standing out, and excelling at everything. Uda asks if it's exhausting, and she acknowledges it is, but she thinks it's worthwhile to prove people wrong. Uda recognizes that Saki, like him, wants independence and escape from others' expectations. They have a desire to be powerful and self-reliant. After a brief pause, Uda compliments Saki on her cooking skills and inquires about part-time employment opportunities. Saki appreciates his compassion, but says she does not want him to solve her problems. Uda proposes a deal. If she makes him miso soup every day, he'll help her find work. Saki quips that he is expressing his emotions, but Uda emphasizes that he is simply enjoying homemade soup for the first time in years. Saki agrees, and the two form a supportive alliance. The next morning, Uda is astonished to see Saki preparing breakfast. She reminds him of their agreement, and while Uda points out that it was only for supper, Saki explains she decided to make breakfast as well, as part of her philosophy of always exceeding expectations. Uda compliments the food, and when Saki asks whether he enjoys it, he replies that he typically eats fried eggs with soy sauce. Saki is astonished and decides to recall her preference. At work, Uda reads a money book, which piques the interest of his coworker Shori. He explains that he wants to save money so that he may live independently after high school, particularly since he has a new sister at home. Shirori recognizes his yearning for independence, but she also acknowledges that it is okay to rely on others at times. She jokes about having sugar daddies, which makes Uda anxious, but then laughs and tells him to rely more on his family. Later, Uda shares similar wisdom with Saki, explaining how relying on others may be beneficial. Saki is startled by Uda's intimate relationship with his pals and expresses her support. She admits she enjoys independence, but concedes Uda's pal had a point. When Uda asks if she dislikes relying on him or their father, Saki responds that, while she believes they are decent people, it would be simpler if they were terrible. She apologizes for being blunt and thanks him for the lunch. The next day, Uda notices Saki walking with headphones on, oblivious that a car is likely to hit her. Uda protects her and scolds her afterwards, creating some barrier between them. Despite the tension, Uda remains concerned for her. When it starts pouring, he hands her his umbrella and returns home soaking. After dressing, he enters the living area and sees Saki and her friend Maya. On June 11th, Uda recalls the events of the previous night. Maya went to their house and told Saki that she wanted to see the new place, apologizing for not alerting Uda because she didn't have his phone number. Maya also recounts seeing Uda and Saki talking at the tennis club and how he gave her an umbrella. Uda apologizes for not being more careful, as they were supposed to keep their sibling relationship private. Saki isn't too concerned and requests Uda's phone number. The next morning, Uda overhears Saki and their mother, Akiko, talking. They remark Tai will come home late so they can all eat breakfast together. Both Uda and Tai compliment Akiko's food, particularly the tortilla, with dashi soup she made. Akiko informs Uda that Saki is familiar with the recipe and could prepare it for him at some point. Saki adds that she can cook fried eggs for Uda whenever she feels like it. After breakfast, Uda offers to assist with the laundry, but Akiko and Saki point out that he is inexperienced with delicate materials. Uda, realizing his inexperience, agrees to let them handle it. Later, Akiko asks Uda whether she can wash his underpants alongside Tai's, but Uda declines, believing it is a private affair. Before leaving the house, Saki asks Uda to wait for her, so they can go out together. On the way, Saki apologizes, joking about Uda's preference for feminine undergarments and inability to wash clothing, implying that he may reject traditional gender norms. Uda explains that he does not apply makeup or do anything like that. Saki appreciates his natural brows and wonders if he finds it difficult that society only recognizes two genders. Uda agrees, but urges her not to worry, adding that individuals frequently act on impulse owing to cultural conditioning. Saki agrees, and they talk about how stereotypes might lead to discrimination. Later, when Uda returns home, he notices Saki's underpants and becomes nervous. He hastily excuses himself, stating that he needs to go to work. When he returns, Saki brings up the event, taunting him and admitting that his reaction caused her to believe he might steal anything. Uda says he was concerned she would think that. Saki apologizes for her mistake and gives him hot chocolate, claiming they are equal. She playfully asks if her underwear lured him, and Uda, embarrassed, denies it but admits the thought passed his head. Saki apologizes again and concludes the talk by informing him that dinner and the bath are ready. The next day, June 12th, Maya approaches Uda at the tennis court and inquires about Saki, stating that she has been down since the morning. Uda texts Saki to check on her and she responds that she is alright. That evening, they eat dinner together and Uda reveals that he still hasn't found a well-paying work. Saki jokes that if she continues to cook for him, she will be doing so indefinitely. Uda reassures her and offers assistance if she requires it, and Saki silently accepts. After supper, Saki bathes and retires to her room, while Uda reads in bed. Saki silently enters his room, turns out the lights, and begins to undress. She approaches Uda, touches his cheek, and asks if he will pay for her body. Uda informs Saki that she's acting like the type of girl he despises, someone who takes advantage of a situation for personal benefit. He believes she is propagating bad preconceptions about women. He covers her with garments and interrupts her explanation, insisting that what counts is her, not him. Saki lowers her sight and begins to express her feelings. She admits that she used to think her father was a nice guy, but once his business collapsed, he got bitter and accused her mother of exploiting her beauty to manipulate men. Saki recognized he was struggling, but that didn't explain his terrible treatment of her mother. Uda relates to her narrative, stating that he and his father experienced something similar when their mother cheated, leading them to fear women for a time. Saki is astonished to learn this, especially since Tai, who always appears cheery, had also been through it. She understands Tai may possibly distrust women. She agrees quietly, and they acknowledge their shared hardships, including their shattered portions. Uda believes that, despite their problems, they can still be good siblings. Saki remains silent, feeling horrible about her recent acts, but Uda attempts to cheer her up by suggesting she call him Big Brother. This makes her giggle, and she thanks him, though she continues to call him Asamira, ignoring the offer. Thank you for watching to this point. This is not the end. For part 2, don't forget to like and subscribe. We got other interesting anime recaps for you. Choose the left or the right video.